Hi guys, my name is Grant Moreland and my company is Overage Acquisition, where we do six figures plus each year in what's called tax overage recovery. Now, a lot of people always ask me, what exactly is that? How does that work? So let me explain it to you in detail. We'll head upstairs to the studio and we'll dive right in. Let's do it. So a lot of people always ask me, Grant, what is tax overage recovery? It sounds like some kind of scam. It doesn't sound ethical, but all it is money left over from a foreclosure sale. And that foreclosure sale is either due to past due property taxes or delinquent mortgage. So for example, if you own a property and you fall behind on your property taxes, if you don't pay those back taxes within a specified time period, the county or taxing authority will come in and they will place a lien on your property. A lot of you probably already knew that. However, if you don't pay that tax lien, then the county will put your property on a public auction block and sell it to the highest bidder. So when the property is placed on an auction block, I'm gonna draw a little picture of a house here. A buyer will come in and they will purchase the home. Now, the county or taxing authority, usually it's the county, they're one of the same. The treasurer tax collector's office will often be referred to as the county. So moving forward, if you hear county, I'm referring to the taxing authority or tax collector's office or treasurer's office, because they're the ones that collect the property taxes, just to clear that up. So a buyer will come in and they'll purchase the home, let's say for $100,000. Okay, $100,000. Now, the county's back taxes at that time were $10,000. Okay, $10,000. So the difference between what the county is owed and what the property sold for is called an overage. And that money sits in a trust account with the county or tax collector's office, earning interest, waiting to be claimed. So I know what your question is now, Grant. Well, why don't the homeowner just go and claim the money? Well, here's the thing is the homeowner gets very little to no notification that this money is sitting there. And now this is by design, because usually within a specified time period, about a year or so, if that former homeowner doesn't come forward, remember, they're the former homeowner, they lost their home and a new buyer owns the property now. If that former homeowner doesn't come in and file a claim to get that money, it's forfeited to the county. Think about that. The equity that you built in your home, some bad things happened, you fell behind on your property taxes, you have, let's say, $100,000 in equity in your home. Once those back taxes are paid, that equity, that money that's yours, can get forfeited to the county if you don't file a claim. And what will happen is the county, they have what's called their minimum legal obligation. And what that states is to notify the prior homeowner that they are owed this money, all they have to do is post an ad in a newspaper in the county, could be some small name newspaper that nobody reads. In the back of the newspaper, place a tiny little classified ad in the back of the newspaper stating that the property was sold and that there may be money left over or excess proceeds or an overage, surplus funds. Those are different names they call it. So think about that. You own a home, you fall behind on your property taxes. The county comes in, they take your property, they put it on a public auction block, they sell it, they recoup their back taxes because the property is sold. Now, that additional money, let's say it was $100,000 it sold for, and the back taxes were $10,000. That $90,000 is your equity, right? Because that was the purchase price, is sitting with the county waiting to be claimed. And the only legal obligation the county has to let you know that money exists is to place a tiny little ad, a little classified ad in a newspaper that nobody reads. Think about that. It's insane. So what happens is my company, Overage Acquisition, we do massive audits of the county tax collectors' databases and auction sites, and we extract this data and we find out how much money is sitting there and who it belongs to. And that's what we do. We find out how much money the county tax collector is sitting on and who it belongs to. And then we file a claim to help that homeowner, prior homeowner at this point, recover those funds, and we charge a fee. So Really. Essentially what we're doing is we're moving money. We're moving money from the county's treasury to the former homeowner's bank account. That's what we're doing. We're taking money from the county and we're moving it to the former homeowner in which it belongs to. That rightfully belongs to them by law. But the county's going to be real sneaky. They're going to place that little tiny classified ad in a newspaper that nobody reads, and they're going to sit there and they're going to wait. And they're going to wait. They're going to wait. Oh, still no claim. Still no claim. I guess we get to keep the money. Think about that. Now, this is built in to the laws. It's actually built into the laws. And it makes you question, it makes you wonder, when laws are being written, they're supposed to be for the general well-being of the public, right? The general good of the public. But sometimes whoever wrote those laws really wrote those laws for themselves. I mean, think about that. That's terrible. So, I mean, all that equity you built. Now, the Supreme Court, in May of 2023, the Supreme Court made a decision that the counties can no longer keep that money because there are several states in which the county, the treasurer tax collector's office, can just outright keep it. They don't have to give that money back to the former homeowner. Think about that. The Supreme Court decided, I believe it was a lawsuit in, I believe, Michigan by a woman who took it all the way to the Supreme Court because her property, I think, showed like $500 in back taxes, and the home sold for, I think, $35,000, give or take. And the county said, you know what? We're keeping it. We're keeping that $30,000 or $3,500 or whatever it is. We're keeping it. And she said, no, you're not. That is my equity that I built over time, regardless of the back taxes. So she took it all the way to the Supreme Court, or her lawyers did, and she won. She won. And the Supreme Court made a decision. Now, whether that decision gets filtered down to all the other states in a short time or it takes a long time, we won't know. But the Supreme Court made a decision that counties cannot outright just keep the equity. Now, that doesn't mean they're still not going to be sneaky about notifying the homeowner. They're still going to try to hang on to that money as long as they can and earn interest. So if you think about it, imagine owning your home and you bought it for $100,000 and now it's worth $300,000, and you fell behind on your property taxes and the property taxes were $10,000. Now you have $290,000 in equity that you built, and the county is trying to keep that money from you by doing almost nothing to let you know. Now, in some cases, they'll post a little notice on the door of the property. They'll put a little notice on the door and they'll say, hey, you know, your property has been foreclosed and there may be some money left over. But most people are not at that property anymore. Most people are gone. They're living with family. You know, they've lost their property. They're living somewhere else. So they're not getting notices put on their door. Another issue is they may mail them a letter saying, in legal terms, they may mail them a letter to the old address with some legal jargon stating that, you know, your property was sold and there may be excess proceeds or, you know, surplus funds, what have you. But think about it. If you owned that property and you no longer live there, number one, you're not going to get the mail because you're not getting it unless you forwarded your mail address, which you should. Secondly, if it's from the treasurer or tax collector, that letter, you're probably not going to read it because you lost your home and you don't want to read any more bad news letters that you lost your home. So think about that. So a lot of these people, they don't even know they have this money owed to them. I mean, they just don't. We send out thousands of letters a month, and you would be amazed at how many people don't even know the property is sold. You know, maybe it was an investment property, they lost track of it. Maybe it was handed down to them through family. I mean, you just don't, you know, a lot of people just don't even know about it. And it's surprising. And there's hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, of this money sitting in the county's treasuries or county's trust accounts nationwide. Just think about that. And there are simply not enough people to go out there and help these folks. And that's what we do. And if you think about it, I have and you have a moral obligation to help these folks out. It's a moral obligation because how can you act on something if you don't know it exists? Think about it. So we have a moral obligation to help these folks out, and it's a very noble opportunity, and it's a very lucrative business as well. So if you're interested in what you heard so far, I know you heard this 100,000 times online. The links below will have access to our private training and our YouTube channel and Facebook. So you can go there and learn more about it. But I'm telling you, this will be an ongoing issue and opportunity for a very, very, very long time. The reason why is because this is built into the legal system through foreclosures. So I want to thank you guys for taking time out of your day to listen to this. I know it might be a lot of information, but you can go to the YouTube channel, click on the link below, check out our YouTube channel, and you can get a lot more information there and see if this is something you would like to commit to and participate in, because it's very lucrative and it's a very noble opportunity. And it'll be ongoing for a very long time. Thank you.